Welcome to Democracy-ish. I am a well, healthy, and rested Danielle Moodie.
And I'm I'm just getting by, folks. I'm like you. I'm all of you, and Danielle's how you want to be. So this is how it is, right? I'm reality, and Danielle's the inshallah. But we're still here, and we're going to be debating later on in the show. Are swastikas hate symbols? Have you ever met someone with a swastika that was a really pleasant person, Danielle?
No, actually, I have not.
Me either. I've been around for a while. Hasn't happened yet.
Mm-mm. Nope. And I have never thought to myself, maybe I should use a noose as a greeting card. Also, never occurred to me.
Never, not once even. And we're in a situation, folks, where we have to tell everyone to trust the evidence of your eyes and your ears. We are dealing with a unhinged, racist, violent criminal who is and no disrespect to New York's sewer rats, a cornered New York sewer rat who will cut through anything and everyone to stay in power. He's underwater on Epstein. He's underwater on the economy. He's effed up so bad, he's stuck. Those two things, Danielle, it ain't getting better. He has overreached on immigration. He has now turned on Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey. There are cracks. We're going to tell you some polls that have come out. He is not only sinking, he's sinking his entire party. So, do you think he'll be civil? Do you think he'll reach out? Or do you think he'll go, oh, I don't know, scorched earth? What do you think, Danielle? It's not like we've had evidence for the past 10 years.
I mean, we know that when Donald Trump is cornered, he either demolishes the East Wing of the White House, because remember, that was in response to the No Kings rally. And now, following what he thought was going to be a win on Epstein, I just want, before I show you the meltdown that happened, I just want to say this. Donald Trump and Mike Johnson thought that they had the Epstein case under wrap, meaning that Donald Trump was going to be able to come out. And I can't believe this only happened on Sunday and today is only Friday, because I feel like we've lived like 16 years this week. But Donald Trump thought that his reversal on the Epstein files by telling Republicans to vote in favor of the release on the vote that happened on Tuesday was going to be a win for him, because he thought that, again, that was just signaling to the House that, one, he would allow the Republicans to not embarrass him because they were going to vote regardless for the release of the Epstein files, whether or not he had agreed to or not. So to stave off the embarrassment, he tells them to go vote. But he thought that it was going to head up to the Senate. The Senate was going to add a bunch of amendments, or the Senate wasn't going to, allow it to pass through clean. Then it was going to be kicked back down to the House. Then it was going to be kicked back up to the Senate. They thought that they were going to be able to play volleyball for at least the next several months, if not several years, right? On this. And so when the Senate said, oops, we're just going to let this shit sail through, he was caught off guard. And so I say that because what happens then, right? A couple of days later, when Democrats, and I might not be able to play it because we have so many videos, but I played it yesterday on the Danielle Moodie show. When several Democrats, former military veterans, when they come out in a video and say, hey, we just want to remind you of your oath. We were all in your shoes at one time. We took an oath to this country, to the Constitution. It is okay, and it is your duty not to obey illegal orders. Now watch. When you saw that video and you heard them,
I said, yes, good, finally. First and foremost, you have standing. You are a veteran. You served, unlike Mr. Commander in Cankles, who got a deferment several times from his rich daddy with mysterious bone spurs. Donald Trump has said that his personal Vietnam was avoiding STDs, just to let you know the type of man who's running the country.
Did he really say that?
Yeah. He said, it's one of those gem Donald Trump quotes. My personal Vietnam was avoiding STDs. That's the man that white Christian evangelicals see as their savior, but I digress. And furthermore, they're actually right. because the defense of I was only following orders doesn't work in the war crimes tribunals, right? It doesn't work in Nuremberg. So if you are just following orders, but you're committing war crimes, guess what? Eichmann said that as well. I was just following orders. What do I know? I'm just a bureaucrat, huh? But no, if you're doing war crimes by simply following orders, then you will be held liable if indeed there is accountability. So you have every right, first and foremost, to your oath, which is to the country and the Constitution, and also not to break laws. So what they said was appealing to our patriotism and loyalty. And Donald Trump, it's always projection all the time. He says, "Oh my God, no way. Can you believe what they said? Sedition." And then he goes a step further, punishable by death. Then he goes a step further and says, hang them.
Now, so again, right? Laid it out at the beginning. Reason why Donald Trump is doing this and having this outsized reaction is because he is a cornered rat.
Yep.
And frankly, I got to tell you that when you went through the responses from Mike Johnson, the responses from Stephen Miller, from Bobblehead Barbie, at the
Levitt.
White House, in front of the press secretary, like, I'm just like, did they just confess to crimes? Because
Probably.
that's what it sounded like to me. Because what was clearly stated in that video that Democrats put out said, you do not have to abide by and you should not obey illegal orders.
Yeah, illegal.
And what does, and again, I just want to say, because I played this yesterday, Chuck Schumer had to come out and direct Capitol Police to amp up their protection of Alyssa Slotkin and of Mark Kelly because of their involvement in the video and the fact that they have now gotten a barrage of threats, of death threats, and hate towards them. And Chuck Schumer said, never in my life have I seen a sitting president of the United States, continue to incite violence the way that this president does. And here's Kyle Cheney that says, Trump, who says he's against political violence, is spending the morning calling for the members of Congress to be hung or put to death for saying that the military should go deny unlawful orders. And it's like, and here's Morgan Freeman. This is what traitorous sedition looks like.
Yep.
And it's like the alternative universe that these people exist inside of, that when you listen to Mike Johnson that said, this is dangerous for our military. It's dangerous for the military to have a commander in chief who continues to incite violence. It's only been a few months, Waj, since a sitting member of the Minnesota State House and her husband were assassinated in their home.
Melissa
Right?
Hortman.
It's only been a couple of months, if we remember, at the beginning of the year when Governor Josh Shapiro's home was firebombed. We don't even talk about that.
Nope.
We don't even talk about that anymore. It's only been a year since Nancy Pelosi's husband was nearly bludgeoned to death in his home. Right? So these are not, and then a couple of years since the plot to kidnap and rape, right? Governor Whitmer, right, was found out, right? So we're not making this stuff up.
Nope.
When we say that Donald Trump's language, what he absolutely says on his broke down social media platform, what he says when he's sitting behind the Resolute desk, all of these things carry weight because he is the president of the United States, whether we like it or not. And he has, by evidence of this picture, by evidence of the 1,600 people that he pardoned, he has wildly unstable, violent followers that take everything that he says as a direct order, and he knows that. And because he has faced no accountability and responsibility for his actions of telling people to seize their country, take their country back 5 years ago, right? We're here. We're here where now sitting Democrats are being threatened publicly by the president of the United States with death.
Well, just go back a week. He turned on Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey, and then what did Marjorie Taylor Greene say? Oh, I'm being threatened. And we said, well, that's what you have been part and parcel of, stochastic terrorism. Because for the past 10 years, when Donald Trump, like you said, targets his critics, some of his unhinged violent followers see that as a command. Go after them. Caesar Sayoc is in jail right now for nearly 24 years. In the first Trump administration, he was the unhinged man who sent pipe bombs,
Yep.
functional pipe bombs, to all of Donald Trump's critics. He had them on the side of his truck. Remember that?
Yep.
That included reporters. Donald Trump has openly told his fans, hey, beat that protester up. I'll pay for the
Okay.
legal
Yep.
bills. Yeah,
Yep.
he's called the press the enemy of the people. We've seen death threats. I'm old enough to remember in the first Trump administration, I was watching CNN, and I was at CNN actually, and they had to do the live feeds outside of the New York CNN headquarters because of bomb threats. We all remember that, where they literally had to just leave, and these are the people that are kissing up to them. I remember that Donald Trump, like you said, pardoned 1,600 insurrectionists, some of them with violent criminal
Yep.
records, some of them,
Back in jail.
wait for it gets even better. Some of them who were convicted for seditious conspiracy, like Stuart Rhodes of the Oath Keepers, who's out free, like Enrico Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, who's out free. One of those folks in the past week has been arrested. You know why? Because he tried to sexually assault a girl. Notice a theme. So all of this is projection all the time. And then also, because I want to be petty and keep receipts, and I know we have one, I'm old enough to remember, even though it seems like 14 years ago, that about 2, 3 months ago, Charlie Kirk was murdered, allegedly by Tyler Robinson, not by Antifa, not by the left, not by, a transgender kid, not by an undocumented immigrant, by a white Christian man from a white Christian family who was mostly apolitical and radicalized online. And before there was a suspect, folks, this is very important. Before there was a suspect, because the
Yep.
FBI under Kash Patel was like, hey guys, what's happening? Was completely floundering. He had no leads. Tyler Robinson's, I believe it was his father or a family member that had to convince him to turn himself in, right? So we had no idea, no
Right.
evidence, no proof. And Donald Trump went in front of the world
Yep.
while like tempers were high, people were
Yep.
talking about the left, people were deeply upset. And he blames the radical left for, quote, demonizing those you disagree with the day after to explain Kirk's murder. Charlie's last words were blaming trans people and gangs for homicides, and then also talking about mass shooting, and then he was killed, which is, the irony of ironies. But then Stephen Miller doubled down on it and then lied and said Charlie Kirk's final words were to tell me to go against the radical left. And even then, after Tyler Robinson was the suspect, folks, let's be honest, they still to this day blame they and them, which means the rest of us, right? So think about this, if you will, indulgence in violent rhetoric, this indulgence in stochastic terrorism. What's that done? And we, the rest of us, we can't even criticize Charlie Kirk. Oh my God, remember that, Danielle? If you criticized him, you were doing politics the wrong way. You had to be civil.
Or how about I do you one further that the State Department said that they were going to revoke your fucking passport
Oh yeah.
or deny your admission to the country if you were here, on a visa, but you happen to tweet or post on social media that you didn't care that Charlie Kirk died. Like, I mean, that's to the extent that they went to try and concoct a story that, once again, I mean, if we really think about it, Waj, too, around Charlie Kirk's murder, is that what they were trying to do didn't stick with their own base. They were trying to seed this idea of a civil war. They were trying to seed this idea that it was the radical left, and they were trying to seed it so that the mainstream corporate media would run with it, so that like they could amp up their base, right, and escalate the violence, because what we knew, right, is that they wanted to invoke the Insurrection Act. And they're
Oh,
like, we have
yep,
the perfect moment and the perfect time and the
yep.
perfect symbol in Charlie Kirk to get this done. And I want to say now, in hindsight, that was one of the major fissures inside of MAGA, because it didn't work. And it was the first time that we began that I think that now in hindsight, I can say that the public was just like, you're full of shit. Like, how are you saying without any evidence, without a suspect, that it's the radical left? How are you sending out your, staff on television to say that it's the radical left? How are you clearly using this man and his death, right, as an opportunity that was so blatant? It was so transparent, right? And so
But can I say this also, Danielle? You're
please.
right. They overplayed their hand, but also, much like with Epstein, because I've been following this for a while because I'm a masochist, so you all don't have to be. If you've been following right-wing media, please don't. For the past 10 years, they have deliberately, if you will, primed their base, like we've talked about, right? They've primed their base with this type of zealous, violent rage towards the rest of us. We are not just Antifa, we're not just libs, we're not just Marxists. They have gone so far as to say that we are devil worshippers,
Yep.
sex traffickers, rapers
Pedophile.
of children,
Hmm.
killers of children, evil, inhuman. These are the words that Donald Trump used to describe Democrats last month. We just let it go. Evil. They're evil. All right. They did it through QAnon, Pizzagate, QAnon. They were warned that QAnon had the ability to radicalize individuals and groups towards violence. The FBI said it in the 2020 election. 2020, what happens? January 6th insurrection. Donald Trump incites this violent mob. Some of the people who were radicalized, like Ashley Babbitt, they were radicalized by QAnon. Vance Bolter, the man who, had the list of 70 Democrats, killed Melissa Hortman, their dog, and the husband, was radicalized in part by QAnon. They knew it was bullshit, but they went along with it. Aha, we have something. This radicalizes our base. Red meat. Furthermore, the overreach. They said there's only one person who can come in and clean the swamp. There's only one person who can come in and prove that there's a deep state of all these pedophiles. That's Donald Trump. And by the way, there's a Rosetta Stone that proves it, the Epstein files. So you had Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, the entirety of the right wing, Kash Patel promise the base that once they get in power, they will release the Epstein files. Well, they got in. And guess what happened, folks? Remember, at first they're like, Pam Bundy's like, I'm sitting on the Epstein files on my desk. Remember that theater that they did last time
Yep.
where Laura Loomer and all these other people came
Yep.
and like,
With
what's in
their
the
big
binder?
binders.
But guess what they found out? Pam Bondi and Kash
Nothing.
Patel and Dan Bongino actually then started looking at the Epstein files. And according to the Wall Street Journal, in April and May, they're like, oh shit, our king and daddy, Donald Trump, is all up in the files. And based on what we've heard, he's up to no good. So they've been punting on this issue, and it's their base, folks. I want to keep the receipts. It's the right wing that turned on Donald Trump when it comes to Epstein. It was the Wall Street Journal that did those 1, 2, 3, 4 leaks, right?
Yep.
And then when it came to Charlie Kirk, an amazing fissure. They overreached, they effed up, Cash Patel's like, "Hey guys, I'll see you in Valhalla," and then Candace Owens realized here's an opening. Charlie Kirk is my friend, and also I'm a grifter. I need to know the truth. This administration is not transparent. It hasn't talked to us about the Epstein files. It hasn't talked to us about Thomas Crooks, the white man who killed Donald Trump. Now they're finally talking about him, right? We need to know more. And so there's been a massive fissure over Candace Owens and the right wing over the FBI
Yep.
handling of Charlie Kirk. They've radicalized their base so much over these issues now that base has turned on Trump and Kash Patel and Don Bongino. And now, folks, it's a massive fissure. But the problem for the rest of us is these folks are nutty, Danielle. They're nutty, they're
That shit
violent, they're unhinged,
crazy.
and they're batshit crazy.
Yeah. And, and it's just, again, it's clear, right? And you're a lawyer, right? I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand why it is so difficult to make the connection between the things that Donald Trump, the violent things that Donald Trump says, and then actual violence that occurs, right? Like, why, to me, the insurrection, and again, who do I blame? Who do I blame for us being here? Merrick
Right.
fucking Garland, because my God, it was so easy to connect the dots, to provide all of the evidence, to provide all of the examples. He said this happened. He said this happened, and on and on and on, right? Like that should have been the case. I would have even fuck the documents case, fuck the other ones. make the insurrection the case, right?
Absolutely.
Because that was the one steeped in and having our democracy hang by a thread on. Because if you can incite an insurrection, then we're pretty much cooked. But he didn't do that, right? He twiddled his thumbs for at least 2 years before he got Jack Smith. So
Civility,
yeah.
institutions,
And so
restoration.
how civil we are is that we are now here. Fast forward. Thank you so much. This is what the preservation of institution and civility has gotten us. It has gotten us to the place where Donald Trump is calling for the execution of sitting elected Democratic officials for having the audacity to remind military leaders to follow the rule of law and the oath that they took to the Constitution. So Greg Sargent posted this, which I think is important for us to read, because right after Donald Trump comes at these political leaders, comes at them and calls for their death, they get together and they put out a joint statement. And they say, today, U.S. Senator Alyssa Slotkin, Senator Mark Kelly, Representatives Jason Crow, Chris DeLuzio, Maggie Goodlander, Chrissy Houlihan released the following joint statement. We are veterans and national security professionals who love this country and swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. The oath lasts a lifetime, and we intend to keep it. No threat, intimidation, or call for violence will deter us from that sacred obligation. What's most telling is that the president considers it punishable by death for us to restate the law. Our service members should know that we have their backs as they fulfill their oath to the Constitution and obligation to follow only lawful orders. It is not only the right thing to do, but also our duty. But this isn't about any of us. This isn't about politics. This is about who we are as Americans. Every American must unite and condemn the president's calls for our murder and political violence. This is a time for moral clarity.
Finally.
In these moments, fear is contagious, but so is courage. We will continue to lead and we will not be intimidated. Don't give up the ship. The fact that we have arrived here, that these duly elected sitting Democratic members would have to release a statement like this, it is absolutely unreal. It is absolutely like, I will never let go of my ability to be shocked, because then that means that I am numb to what this regime has done. This statement was breathtaking to me.
And finally, it was 10 years too late, but finally, I think they're confronting him. They're not bending the knee. They're not engaging in, well, he's doing politics the right way. Oh, he's just shooting from the hip. It's economic anxiety. They're finally, because it is going after them, realizing, oh, he is a menace. He's been doing this to immigrants, to Muslims, to Black people, to trans people. And we have been saying this man is an unhinged right-wing violent authoritarian. And we were told it's economic anxiety. Be civil. No civility. And finally, you have Mark Kelly saying this. Let's see. I think you have the video.
Yeah, I do have that. Hold on one second. Let's see. Can we? Oh, hold on.
Sure.
Again, it is not going to act right. Let's pull this up. I just want to remind folks, Mercury is still in retrograde.
Or we can just do
the president is going to give an illegal order, or why did y'all feel the need to put this video out?
Well, here's the thing. He has talked about sending troops into more U.S. cities. He's talked about invoking the Insurrection Act. You don't have to go too far back to his first administration, where in 2020, he went to his Secretary of Defense and he asked the question. He said, can't we just shoot these protesters in the legs? That is an example of an illegal order if it was given. He didn't give the order, but it's obviously rattling around in his head. He's got these ideas, and these are dangerous ideas. What he said today, again, was a dangerous idea.
Can I ask you,
and because we bring the receipts, can you play the Stephen Miller clip?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, because Stephen Miller okay, this was 2
2
days
days
ago.
ago.
2 days ago. Stephen Miller goes on Fox. And I want you to take a listen to what he says. Again, what he is referring to Democratic leaders as. And of course, none of these are going to play now, so we're going to do it like this because the language that they're using, folks, is purposeful.
Video, Stephen, and one that you see as insurrection?
It is insurrection, plainly, directly, without question. And when you have one of the lawmakers on that video being unable to state in, as you say, lengthy cross-examination, a single so-called illegal order, it just proves the point. It's a general call for rebellion from the CIA and the armed services of the United States by Democrat lawmakers, saying that you have not only the right, but the duty and the obligation to defy orders of the commander-in-chief, that those who carry weapons in America's name should defy their chain of command and engage in open acts of insurrection, that the CIA, the clandestine service, which isn't even legally authorized to operate in the United States, should engage in, again, acts of rebellion and insurrection.
Because I can't listen to his voice.
Thank you.
I just, again, I don't know what happens in their sick, twisted minds. We all watched the video, right? And I'm gonna see if I can find it to actually play it, because I want to play it so that folks can, again, here it is. Assess for yourselves. And then we'll talk about what Stephen Miller said. But listen to the actual video that was put out. And you tell us if this was insurrectionist language.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow.
I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
Who take risks each day.
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
Against American citizens.
like us. You all swore an oath
To protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad.
But from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard.
And that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
In the Army.
Our Navy.
The Air Force.
Your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
Our Constitution.
And who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Don't
So-
follow legal orders. That's it. Simple. Oh, but incite a violent insurrection, cover it up, pardon those people, pardon people who have violent criminal records, pardon George Santos for being loyal, pardon CZ of Binance because he does business with you, even though he's a money launderer, pardon the founder of Silk Road because the crypto bros like it. Oh, speaking about crypto, somehow just make $5 billion with your family, pass pro-crypto legislation, self-deal, kill a whole bunch of Venezuelan fishermen without any due process or evidence. When asked for it, say, trust me. When you finally have one who survives, quickly extradite him instead of, trying him. Don't use the Coast Guard to, stop them, but instead use the Coast Guard as a vehicle for your culture war, and now have swastikas and nooses, and apparently then reverse it a day later. And then also, go ahead and invite a killer of U.S. journalist, and because he dumps a bag of gold on your desk, then be his own PR agent, and then literally gaslight America and say, what? No, MBS, he's great on human rights. What are you talking about? No, he didn't kill anybody. I think it's too much. I think people have seen too much. That was just top of my head. That was just top of my head.
The fact that I was just like, wow, Waj has got the greatest hits just rattling off.
Yeah, I think it's too much. And I think the reason why it's too much is because we live in this country of the United States of me. United States of amnesia. The one thing you can bullshit people about is what's in your wallet, the economy. You just can't. Biden said, and Biden was right. Look, things are getting better, folks. America is doing much better than every other country during, COVID and a recovery of COVID. He was right, but people were still feeling the pain, right, Danielle? So Donald Trump is now saying everything's fine, everything's fantastic, everybody loves me, the prices are down, blah blah blah. People are like, no, they aren't. It's friggin', Black Friday. I'm trying to go shop. I don't have money. And then secondly, with the Epstein files, he is what? He has primed his own base that now wants the files. There's too many leaks there that he can't plug in. A lot of people are now asking, like, yo, man, like, I ain't a conspiracy theorist, but like, this is weird. Ghislaine Maxwell, and like, now, like, the photos of Jeffrey Epstein's like suicide cell, like, what's happening? And now you're talking about insurrection, and now you're talking about sedition. But weren't you the guy who pardoned those people who did sedition on January 6th? And you're saying we're violent, but you're the one who's violent. It's all too much. He's overreaching out of desperation. And this is a cornered New York City rat. And if he wasn't so old, if he hadn't radicalized his base with Charlie Kirk and Epstein, and if the economy wasn't so bad, maybe, just maybe, in 2017, this might work. It ain't working in 2025. And then he's cracked Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie as well.
And, I want to go to this story before we go to the economy. So we'll cover this.
Oh, yes.
Again, it's something that is not being covered to the extent that it should. And Donald Trump, while he is calling for the hanging and calling for members of Congress to be punished by death for directing military to follow the rule of law, do you know who isn't following the rule of law and who is absolutely committing crimes in broad daylight? Fucking ICE. This story, folks, Waj found, Newsweek. Man detained by ICE found dead, hanging with hands and feet tied. Very difficult to hang yourself when your hands and feet are tied. So the article goes on. A Chinese immigrant was found dead in U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention with his hands and feet tied behind him, an attorney has alleged. Chao Feng Ji died 4 days after entering ICE custody in Pennsylvania on August 5th, with an agency report stating he was found by agents with a cloth ligature around his neck. As detention numbers have spiked within ICE facilities under the Trump administration, deaths have also begun to rise. At least 15 immigrants died within ICE facilities or while under their care under this administration, compared to 12 for the entire fiscal year of 2024. I just want to state that again. At least 15, and that's just what we are being told. Because again, we're asking for those that are committing the crimes to keep the data and share the data of the crimes they're committing. That at least 15 immigrants died within ICE facilities or while under their care under this administration, which has only been around, folks, for roughly 10, 11 months. 12 died under the entire year of 2024 when Biden was president. Advocacy groups and attorneys have repeatedly warned that ICE detention conditions are poor, but DHS said otherwise. Wash.
ICE is Donald Trump's Gestapo. It is Stephen Miller's id come to life in Doc Marten boots and masked armed agents. It is a lawless, a rogue paramilitary force that attracts some of the worst people on earth, that thanks to the big beautiful bill will now have the military the size of like this. It has the 16th largest military if it were a country. 10,000 agents. No one wants to say anything about them because everyone's terrified about being against ICE and law enforcement. They have tear gassed cops. They have accidentally arrested cops. We still don't know how many citizens that they've accidentally deported. They have pepper sprayed and tear gassed priests. They have attacked white people. They have zip tied children. And right now, what you and I have said is the water is warm here, Democrats. Abolish ICE. Go after ICE. Message. Guess what? The latest polls show that a majority of Americans now are against ICE. And a lot of people are asking, why do we need this? This isn't border control. This isn't border enforcement. And guess what? ICE doesn't do border control or border enforcement. In fact, I'm old enough to remember that ICE didn't exist in the 20th century. It was created after the War on Terror. You know what existed in the 20th century, what is now destroyed? USAID, Department of Education. So I don't know. I'm waiting for someone, anyone with balls, to come out and say, enough is enough. We don't need ICE. We probably will never see it in our lifetime because Democrats are milquetoast when it comes to crime and immigration reform. But I have to have hope.
I mean, all I know is that when all of this regime is said and done, I don't know if we're going to be able to stomach the information that comes out with the amount of crimes and deaths and grifting and stealing. Like, I don't know if we'll be able to comprehend, right, what they have been able to do when it's all said and done. Because I'll tell you this, I don't have a crystal ball, can't predict anything, but I'll tell you that all things done in dark eventually come out to light. All crimes done in eventually come out, right? And maybe it's after Donald Trump is dead and gone. Maybe it's, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, but eventually this country will know exactly what happened and who was harmed, who was killed under the guise of ICE and immigration enforcement, etc. It is going to come out, and it will be sick.
Yep.
In the meantime, right, as all of these things are happening, even Fox can't pretend that the fucking economy is good. Fox, Americans are hurting financially. Only 25% saying they're currently satisfied with the U.S. economy. More than 50% of Americans say that inflation is completely out of control. So who's to blame? Our polling shows 46% of Americans think they are being hurt by Trump economic policies. So if you give me one moment,
That's
I will
Fox.
play
And it hasn't
that clip.
even been a year, folks.
Has not been a year. Take a listen.
Comes on the heels of brand new Fox News polls that reveal Americans are hurting financially. Only 25% saying they're currently satisfied with the U.S. economy.
And part of that is because of inflation. We also went through this big shutdown. More than 50% of Americans say that inflation is completely out of control.
Yep. So who's to blame? Our polling shows 46% of Americans think they've been hurt by President Trump's economic policies.
I gotta say, Waj, this is 10 months. This is 10 months. I mean, I want to play this clip as well. Wisconsin shoppers on high Thanksgiving grocery prices. Prices aren't getting any cheaper. I think we're just trying to make things stretch further, buying things when they are on sale. So take a listen to these folks in Wisconsin and how they are feeling ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday.
Over a week away, families are already preparing for their Thanksgiving spread.
Kind of trying to just get it done and get things over with. Sure. And prices aren't getting any cheaper anyways, so.
Using the Consumer Price Index, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, food at home prices have gone up by 2.7% from September 24 to 25, a statistic having a real impact on the American people.
I think we're just trying to make things stretch further, so trying to be good stewards of what we're buying, buy things when they were on sale. We were here Friday because they had Friday-only sales. You could get a pork chop for 77 cents. That's screaming deal.
I noticed a lot of things are higher priced, and people are definitely looking at things more before they're buying them, as we are when we're shopping as well, trying to get the best deals we can for our money.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm people. When I go to the grocery store every week, and I talk about it on this show because I, for the first time in my life, am tracking prices because I want to see how things are moving from week to week. I find and again, I am a single person. So I am buying food for myself and occasionally my girlfriend. But I am looking and I'm saying, well, I guess I'm going to defrost all the stuff in the freezer, right? Use that meat, use that fish, use that stuff first. Because every time that I go to the grocery store, the prices go up. And it's not a figment of my imagination, as Donald Trump would like us all to believe. Oh, don't believe the register receipt. Don't believe the things that are happening. Don't believe the fact that you can't fill your cupboards anymore. And that you're having to scout around for deals from this to that and the other thing, because the other day I picked up a pack of chicken thighs, not organic, 4 chicken thighs. Waj was $13.
Wow.
And
I thought you were going to say 10.
And I put it the fuck down. And I put it down.
He's like, chicken thigh, I love you, but it's time for you and me to part.
Maybe it's time for me to be a vegetarian. Because I was like, I'm sorry, what? $14. And it was not organic.
I feel it. We all feel it to the point where, I have 800 kids. So what I've done, I go to the halal butcher. I buy the meat. I've seen the meat prices go up, but I've done the estimates by eating at home, the dinners and creating the lunches for the kids at home, right? The chicken, the burgers at home, the patties. We save significant money. So we have actually very much reduced our bills when it comes to our footprint at restaurants. So if we're not going to restaurants, what's going to be happening to the local community, the local economy, right? These people are trying to survive. And if the prices of chicken thighs have gone up, well, folks, that means that the restaurants which sell chicken, there's only so much that they can keep the same prices that you love. And so I've gone to these restaurants, and literally one of the restaurants that I go to, he's like, look at that board. Have you noticed our printed price is now changed, and there's a tab. He says, yeah, look at that tab. And then there was a tab before that. And then there's a tab before that. So he says, actually, 3 days ago, it was more expensive, but we got a little deal. So now we switch it up and have reduced 50 cents. So this is the situation that we're in, is that there's only so much that our stores, our restaurants can absorb, because tariffs are taxes that are paid by consumers. And there's only so much that stores will eat. And then they'll say, listen, man, I can't. I got to raise the prices. I got to pass that cost off to you, the consumer, because otherwise I'm losing money. I ain't here to lose money. So now all of us are paying more. Our friggin' wages are flat. The rich are getting richer. And then what they do is this, these Black Friday sales. It's all like a type of reminds me of Vegas or Reno. You spin the slot and you'll win. Everyone wins something, and what you win is this cheap 3-cent piece of shit plastic that's made in China, and you feel better about yourself. These sales, these discounts, I mean, there's stuff that they could literally reduce anytime they want, but they don't, because they maximize their profits. So now you're going to go back to Walmart and Amazon that is screwing you in the first place with terrible labor policies, right? Not giving you a living wage. And then you say, oh my God, did you see? You see how cheap it was? They gave us a great deal. No, mother effer. They could literally give you that deal anytime they want in the week, in the year. They make money. They make insane amount of profits, but now they're luring us and conditioning us. We have to go to these great stores like Target and Walmart and Amazon. They give us fantastic deals, and let's make Bezos richer, and let's make the Walmart family richer. See, oh, that's a great deal. No, they get richer, you get poorer. They drank your milkshake. Sorry for my rant.
No, they inflate the prices. Then they cut them down to what they actually should be and gaslight you into believing that you've received a deal. Now, I just want to remind folks, because one, people are calling for a economic blackout for the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, sales days that are coming up following the Thanksgiving holiday. One, do that. Don't buy shit. On top of which, I generally think people are not going to be, I think that we are going to see the worst Black Friday, Cyber Monday that this country has ever seen since we started like following the data. I think that this year it is going to be an absolute travesty because I don't have this clip, but I will tell you, I saw it, Waj. Fox News was telling people, your grandmother doesn't really need a gift.
I saw that.
Your adult kids don't really need a gift this year. Like, don't focus on that. Focus on what?
That was actually, they had a black woman on who said, grandma and grandpa don't need gifts. They're fine. So we've gone back to F grandma and grandpa, which was the same narrative during COVID.
Yep. We're just like, yeah, they've lived long enough. They've gotten enough stuff.
Meanwhile, grandma and grandpa are like, I'm only 65, guys.
And I have no Medicaid.
I really like that scarf. Shut up, grandma. You've lived a long life.
You've lived a long life.
Just a scarf. Quiet, grandma.
So here's where we are, right? All of this is happening. We're giving you all of this information. So Harry Enton, my favorite over at CNN, is going over the new Marquette poll and saying that it should frighten the GOP. I mean, shit, it should frighten everybody because when you look, folks, at where things are and where things are headed, it only makes sense that the Democrats, who literally are doing nothing really, are going to be favored more. So take a listen.
This is a poll that came out yesterday, Marquette University Law School poll, and I don't think it picked up enough coverage that it should have, because these numbers should be truly frightening to Republicans. Why do I point it out? Why do I say that? Okay, Dems versus Republicans on the generic congressional ballot. If you look at all voters, this matches the average. You see Democrats up by 5 points. Okay, that's not a bad position, but it's not as strong as they were in the 2018 cycle at this point. But come over to this side of the screen. This is where it gets truly frightening for the GOP, because among those certain to vote, look at this. The Democratic advantage nearly doubles. We're talking about a 9-point advantage going from 5 to 9 points. And this matches with what we're seeing in other polls, which is huge Democratic enthusiasm, huge. And more than that, remember, elections are not just about persuasion. They're about turnout as well. And what this suggests is Democrats are far more likely to turn out at this point. A 9-point advantage going from 5 to 9. That is A+, 2 thumbs up. Great news for Democrats.
I do want to ask, like, historically, is it unusual at this point in early polling for Democrats to be this enthusiastic?
Yeah, this is why I think this number was surprising to me. The reason it was surprising to me was I went back through the history books. I went back, okay, party more certain to vote by party identification. Early cycle midterm polls. Look at this. In 2006, Republicans said they were more likely to turn out. 2010, 2014, 2018, 2022. And then all of a sudden in the 2026 cycle, look at this. Democrats are the ones who say they're more likely to turn out and vote. So this does not match what we see historically. The idea that Democrats are more certain to vote is a new phenomenon and matches with what we have generally seen the Democratic coalition sort of evolving, becoming more highly educated. Matches with that because more highly educated people are more likely to turn out and vote. And again, this is historically unusual and suggests that there's a hidden Democratic advantage in the polls right now. You look at those polls, you look at those average of the generic ballot, you see Democrats up by 5. That, in my opinion, based upon the Marquette University Law School poll and what we know about this Democratic coalition, may be, in fact, underestimating the Democratic strength going into next year's midterm election.
Danielle, speaking about Harry, he just posted a tweet an hour ago, if I can read it.
Yeah,
this
please.
has been the worst 10-day polling period for Trump in his second term. His overall net approval hits record lows in 5 polls. His net approval with independents is down 39 points from January to 43 points. And his net approval on inflation is down to negative 34 points. His words, just atrocious.
I mean, and again, why wouldn't it be? Because when you start to pay attention. And again, I have said, and I ask viewers of the Danielle Moodie Show, I ask folks here, our democracy-ish audience, name one thing, Waj, one thing that this administration has done, this regime has done in the last 10 months that has benefited the American people. Even if it's just their base, name one thing that they have done, one piece of legislation that they have pushed for, anything that they have done that was actually good. Any executive order that Donald Trump signed that we're like, oh, well, at least he did this. There's not a fucking thing. And then on top of it, God bless Jasmine Crockett, because Representative Jasmine Crockett continues to come with the receipts. So while Americans are struggling to cobble together a Thanksgiving dinner, are struggling to put food on the table, are trying to figure out how they're going to pay for their health care once the premiums skyrocket in 2026, this is what Jasmine Crockett is telling the American people about what Kristi Noem is up to at the Department of Homeland Security.
Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. Not only has Secretary Noem been busy filming propaganda ads, she's also been busy cashing in on millions of taxpayer dollars. In fact, Secretary Noem has funneled millions of dollars to a company called the Strategy Group. The Strategy Group helped Secretary Noem win her campaign to become the governor of South Dakota. Corey Lewandowski, her top policy advisor, has worked with the firm. And the company's CEO is married to Secretary Noem's chief spokesperson, Mrs. Tricia McLaughlin. This is what corruption looks like. They're stealing money from the American people's pockets and depositing it into their bank accounts.
They're stealing money from the American people and depositing it right into their bank accounts. So while Americans are struggling, I'm part and parcel of the reason even the most insane dictators and authoritarians know one rule: keep the people who you are trying to control a little bit happy by, I don't know, do what China has done, which is pull millions of people out of poverty. Do what, Hungary has done, pull people out of poverty, even if you're executing others. The thing here is that if you keep the people economically satisfied at least a little bit, then you can go on and do your other dirt and shit. Donald Trump is not even good at that.
No, because they're cruel.
Not even good at that.
There's. I'm so glad you brought up Hungary, because even Viktor Orban of Hungary realized, okay, do some democratic socialist policies when it comes to helping people with healthcare or food, right? Republicans are so extreme, folks, and the Financial Times did a study about the most extreme conservative movements in America. The American conservative movement, MAGA, is now further to the right of almost China and Russia. It's like right there. Like, this is an extreme, cruel, violent movement. Marie Antoinette said, let them have cake. They don't even want us to have crumbs. This is who they are. It's a type of unbridled sociopathic cruelty that is almost unique to America and this American conservative movement. Because even these other folks, like you said, is like, let me try to help them with bread.
A little bit
of jobs, and let me give them some healthcare. They're like, no, we're gonna drink up all your milkshake. Private equity is gonna come. We're gonna get your pensions. We're gonna go to the rural hospitals. We're gonna go to nursing homes. We're gonna take Medicaid. We're gonna take Social Security, and then we're gonna replace you with AI and shut up and die. And then we're gonna move to Mars with Elon Musk. This is who they are. And if you don't believe me, if you don't believe it's a grift, I think this story should be bigger. But I'm glad we're talking about it. AI. What has AI done for you guys? I'm still waiting to see what AI has done for me or for crypto, but AI, right? Well, just to show you how the grift is operating and how the fix is in, Donald Trump, the administration, said, F you states' rights, F you federalism. If you ever, and I mean ever, try to regulate the AI industry, Oh, we're gonna beat you up. Trump's efforts to shield companies from state and local regulation come as big tech firms pour obscene amounts of cash into AI and data center projects. Andrew Perez explains how Trump is pushing an effort to shield his billionaire tech donors from state AI laws. They're threatening to punish states who might, I don't know, regulate these reckless industries that are gobbling up so much water, so much land, and so much resources.
So, look, we reported on this. I reported on it on the Danielle Moodie show, how Maya Yoshi, the CEO behind SoftBank, pulling out his money, billions of dollars from stock investments in NVIDIA, how Peter Thiel has done the same, signaling to the market that the obscene amount of money that the seven and I posted a really good video, folks, on my Instagram stories from another content creator following this, who he uses these water glasses to show you the big seven that run, I think he said 40% of the control 40% of the S&P. It is Microsoft, Apple, Meta, Google. What are the other? Amazon. So that's 5. There are 2 more. I can't think of the 2 more that I'm missing. And I'm actually trying to remember who was on Donald Trump's dais for for inauguration. But the big 7 of the tech firms control 40% of the S&P, and they have put in trillions of dollars into AI that is only produced in terms of yes, thank you guys. NVIDIA, and I think, and is it Oracle that folks are saying thank you? That have AI has only produced like not nearly the amount of money that recognizes the trillions of dollars of investment. And now that you are seeing SoftBank and Thiel pull out of NVIDIA, which everyone was investing in, it is just a matter of time, right? Like, and I think we're honestly, Waj, I don't know, we may be looking at weeks or a couple of months before this AI bubble bursts and sends the markets into an absolute fucking frenzy. And what Donald Trump is setting up is that, once again, and again, this is not just distinguished by Republicans, because we did this with the big banks. The big banks, Obama did not hold them accountable. They were too big to fail. And this is exactly the language and exactly what is going to happen with AI, is that it's going to be too big to fail. And so Donald Trump, one of the major investors as well, using our fucking tax dollars to fund AI by $500 billion, folks, we are going to be the ones to clean up this mess. It is going to be us. It is going to be our tax dollars on top of the crypto burst. Like, all of it is about to come down, because you have to understand, these people create nothing. They actually create nothing. And they just trade. But these 7 companies trade imaginary money, like monopoly money, between themselves until everything comes crashing down. Rinse and repeat of the .com era, rinse and repeat of the housing bubble, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. It is greed that leads them, and we're always the ones that pay the brunt, because what is locked up in the stock market? 401ks and fucking pensions.
Folks, I have to run for Joanne Reed, who's waiting, but I was waiting for Danielle to finish up her rant, and she's absolutely on point. I'm old enough to remember that they were too big to fail. They created the mess. All of them failed up. People like Larry Summers, all of the war criminals failed up. We're all stuck in it. AI is going to burst. Crypto is going to burst, and they have embedded themselves within our systems. So who's going to bail them out? We are. Restoration won't do it, folks. I think there is a generational opportunity for generational reform. I think the institutions and their leaders and the establishment, which includes Democrats, I know people don't like hearing it, think that we could go back to the honky-dory status quo, they're missing the moment. I think people are pissed, and I think we need to channel our energy to demand more from our elected officials. And if they're not going to give us reform, you're done. We're going to get rid of you. You should fear us. This has been Democracy-ish. We will be back hopefully Monday. For those who are watching us on Danielle Moodie's fantastic YouTube channel, please subscribe. If you're watching on Damn Digest and the Left Hook Substacks, everything is free. We're terrible capitalists. Please subscribe. Please join. If you have a few dollars, we're like Oliver Twist. We're independent. Please give us some money. We depend on the kindness of strangers. If not, we understand. Thank you to all the super chatters. Julie, Susan, Cindy, Frenchie, thank you for the... I'm glad you like the Kash Patel impression. Navy,
good.
Celia, Linda. And as I head out, Danielle, shamelessly promote yourself.
Yes, thank you, Waj. And what somebody said, Waj is always running. He's the hardest working man in media, folks. Yes, please do. I'm going to have videos up all weekend. Like and subscribe to the Danielle Moodie channel so that you never miss any of the episodes that I put up, any of the videos that I put up. I am so greatly appreciative to every single one of you, every single dollar. Go and support the Damn Digest, support the Left Hook. If you do have a few dollars, consider becoming paid subscribers. If you don't, it's okay. You're never going to miss anything because Waj and I are terrible capitalists, but we also believe in democracy and honesty. Go now to the Left Hook to watch Waj with Joy Ann Reid. We will see you on Monday. Then Danielle Moodie Show will be back on Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Folks, be well.